Hello everyone, Joy here. It's been a while. So I want to do something a little different and talk about vaccines. Now, I can say 100% wholeheartedly that anti-vaxxers are wrong. You just are. But if you want to know how, stay tuned. And I promise I will not belittle, I will not tease or torment or, make fun of those kinds of beliefs, at least not here, not now. I'm just going to present facts. When people say, do your own research, hi, research, going to be right here, okay? Now, I have had all of the usual childhood vaccinations, polio, MMR, BCG, I've had hepatitis B vaccines, and guess what? I am a neurotypical human being. That is to say that I do not have autism or any like learning difficulty or any kind of impairment in that sense, and I have been vaccinated, do not have those things. Well, look at that, proof, job done. But I don't think you're really going to accept that on its own, so let's make things a little bit more immediate and a little bit more real for you. Well, I'm back. I went to the clinic to get vaccinated. I had the idea of actually filming inside, but I was not allowed to do that because you have to go through certain regulations in order to record anything or take any photos or do anything inside NHS property. So it was just easier to talk about it afterwards. Now I have proof right here of the dates of when I have, like, today's date is the 20th of August 2019. I've just had my hepatitis A shot, a HPV shot, and a booster on Hep B. So, guess what? Not autistic. Vaccines do not cause autism. I'm gonna come back tomorrow just to sort of like double check with everyone, like they still don't cause autism. And I would like to take this opportunity to point out that claiming that vaccines cause autism is debunked. That study was flawed, false. It has been shown to be false. Autism is not caused by vaccines, it's caused by genetics. And the fact that people want to avoid autism but risk putting their children at, risk of death, basically sends the message that death is worse than autism, which is a massive insult to autistic people. Because, I know some autistic people, some people with Asperger's, and, they are fine, lovely people. It's a massive insult to them to think that you would rather have a dead kid than an autistic one. Like, they're fine. They have great lives. Like, what are you thinking? That was a little bit condescending, but warranted. So, yeah, I'll check in tomorrow, and, if I'm suddenly autistic or dead or whatever, then you'll know about it. But you know, I have had my jabs. I think we can solidly call this conclusive proof that, you know, if this experiment works, that vaccines do not cause autism, and we can stop pushing the anti-vax rhetoric. Okay? Just stop it. Stop. Stop. Well, it is in fact the next day, and I died. I took the vaccines, and now I am dead. Oh, no, wait, no, I'm not. Yeah, everything's perfectly fine. Muscles a little bit achy because of the jabbing and stuff, but, you know, I am of the good, which is what happens when you take vaccines. Hi. So, here's where I come in with those facts I promised. Now, this information actually comes from the leaflets that you get with the vaccines. So, anyone who doubts these doubts actual medical science. Any propagandist, theorists, conspiracists aren't going to take this seriously. I know that much. It's a shame because, you know, this is where the real information is at, not your random Facebook group. So let's talk about the vaccines and the diseases. This one is about the hepatitis B vaccine. The vaccine contains a small amount of the outer coating of the hepatitis B virus. This outer coating is not infectious and cannot make you ill. When you are given the vaccine, it will trigger the body's immune system to prepare itself to protect you against these viruses in the future. It will not protect you if you already have caught the hepatitis B virus, and it can only help to protect you against infection with the hepatitis B virus. Similar sort of story with the hepatitis A vaccine. This virus is not alive, so this vaccine cannot cause hepatitis A infection. When you are given this vaccine, your body will make antibodies, the natural defense system, against the hepatitis A virus. After 2 to 4 weeks, these antibodies will have been produced and will protect you against hepatitis A infection. To ensure long-term protection, you should receive a second booster vaccination 6 to 12 months after your first dose. As long as you receive the booster within 5 years, you should still be fully protected. Once you have had your booster vaccination, you are not expected to need an additional dose. Having this vaccine will only protect you against hepatitis A and not against any other type of hepatitis virus or any other illness that can cause hepatitis, which is inflammation of the liver. General information on hepatitis A. The hepatitis A virus causes infection of the liver. You can catch the virus by eating or drinking contaminated food or water. Not from fucking vaccines! The virus is present in the bowel movements of infected people, even when they may have no signs of the infection. You can catch hepatitis A infection in any country, but the risk is highest in places and countries where sanitation and food and water hygiene are poor. After catching the virus, it can be up to 6 weeks before signs of illness are seen. Some people have the virus and never get ill, but they can still infect other people during this time. The main signs of the illness include sickness, yellowing of the skin and eyes, also known as jaundice, fever and headache. These signs are all due to an inflammation of the liver while it is infected with the virus. Most patients get better, usually after a couple of weeks or months, but a few people may take up to a year to make a full recovery. While recovering, people affected with hepatitis A may be unable to work. They might not be able to drink alcohol and may need to avoid certain foods according to their doctor's advice. Severe complications are very rare, but sometimes the liver stops working and hospital care is needed until the infection gets better. There are many other types of virus that can cause hepatitis. The signs may be the same as in hepatitis A infection, but the viruses are not always caught through food and drink. Some of them are even sexually transmitted. So, have we learnt enough about hepatitis yet? Are we convinced that vaccines do not cause problems, but they are in fact the prevention of those problems? Let's look at the other vaccine that I have taken. Now this is for HPV, also known as human papillomavirus. Human papillomavirus, or HPV, causes many kinds of diseases. And in the literature here, when it says female and male, what it actually means is people assigned female at birth and assigned male at birth. These diseases include precancerous lesions of the female genitals, cervix, vulva and vagina, precancerous lesions of the anus and genital warts in males and females, cervical and anal cancers. HPV types 16 and 18 are responsible for approximately 70% of cervical cancer cases, 75 to 80% of anal cancer cases, 70% of HPV-related precancerous lesions of the vulva and vagina, 75% of HPV-related precancerous lesions of the anus. HPV types 6 and 11 are responsible for approximately 90% of genital wart cases. This vaccine cannot cause the diseases it protects against. It produces type-specific antibodies and has been shown in clinical trials to prevent HPV 6, 11, 16 and 18 related diseases in women 16 to 45 years of age and in men 16 to 26 years of age. The vaccine also produces type-specific antibodies in 9 to 15-year-old children and adolescents. Now, going into some of the research that I actually got from an article here in the Mail on Sunday. Again, this correlates boys and girls to people assigned male at birth and people assigned female at birth. It says, teenage boys will be vaccinated against a cancer-causing virus responsible for the deaths of hundreds of men every year. HPV causes about 2,000 male cancers per year, and this vaccine protects against 2 HPV strains that cause cancer and 2 others that cause genital warts, which we've already just discussed. Girls have benefited from the HPV vaccine on the NHS since 2008. They were prioritised as the virus causes cervical cancer, which kills about 1,000 women a year. Around 500 women die from other HPV-related cancers a year too. But HPV is now known to cause some 2,000 male cancers annually, resulting in the deaths of about 650 men a year, mainly from mouth and throat forms of the disease. Let's talk about the risks of the vaccines, particularly this one. It's called Gardasil, and it's the HPV vaccine. Like all vaccines and medicines, Gardasil can cause side effects, although not everybody gets them. the following side effects can be seen after the use. Very commonly, side effects found at the injection site include pain, swelling and redness. Headache was also seen. Commonly, side effects found at the injection site include bruising, itching, pain in extremity, fever and nausea have also been reported. Rarely, hives. Very rarely, difficulty breathing. Side effects that have been reported during marketed use include fainting, sometimes accompanied by shaking or stiffening, has been reported. Although fainting episodes are uncommon, patients should be observed for 15 minutes after they receive the HPV vaccine. Allergic reactions that may include difficulty breathing, wheezing, hives and rash have been reported, and some of these reactions have been severe. Nothing in there about it causing autism. That's because it doesn't. It can't. In those rare and extreme cases, it might be the fact that someone is immunocompromised and cannot and should not have vaccines. But again, that's really rare, and those people rely on herd immunity from the other people around them who are vaccinated. So we talk about how vaccines work in general. Like it said in the leaflet, vaccines work by introducing inert forms of diseases into the body, so the immune system thinks that it's under attack and produces the antibodies to those diseases. And then this is called immunity. And once immune, an immunized person, if they get attacked by a live form of the disease, then their immune system already knows how to fight off the invading microbes. This is basically the same thing as gaining immunity through exposure to the live disease. However, without that pesky risk of severe consequences like damage or death. And people who are most at risk of this happening are young children, the elderly, the immuno-compromised, and isn't that preferable? Having an inert form of a disease injected into you so that you can then have your body learn how to fight it off, rather than actually having to contract that disease. Like, I hear about these chicken pox parties where people deliberately try to get their children exposed to the live virus. They then go through the chicken pox just so that they can get the immunity from it. That works, but they also have to go through the damn chicken pox, which to some people can be deadly. I think there's already been a lot of conversation about why you should be vaccinated, if you can be vaccinated, and why some people who are immunocompromised need the rest of the people around them to be vaccinated. I don't want to repeat any of that because it's all out there already. So I just want to say that in conclusion, do it. Just do it. Just do it. There is no reason to not do it. If you can, then go for it. Do it. Get vaccinated. So until next time, and although this has nothing to do with anything, I leave you with the message that has become my tagline. Non-binary is valid, goddammit!